In the misty heart of the Appalachian Mountains, nestled along the Tennessee-North Carolina border, lies Roan Mountain, a place steeped in folklore, echoing with centuries-old whispers of curses, hauntings, and the unexplained. Among the many tales that shroud this fog-drenched wilderness, one has endured longer than any other. They call it the legend of the Witch of Roan Mountain. Some say it's a myth to scare off campers. Others, they've lived to tell stories, if they lived at all. This is not just a ghost story, this is a warning. Roan Mountain was beautiful in the fall, too beautiful for something so evil to dwell there. The turning leaves lit the hills with fiery reds and oranges, and the air was crisp, scented with pine and decay. The town of Roan, just on the edge of the mountain trails, was quiet, peaceful. Tourists came and went, lured by the Blue Ridge Parkway and the promise of scenic photos. But locals knew better than to wander too deep. The legend started over a century ago during the Civil War. A woman named Agatha Wynn lived alone in a wooden cabin near the peak. Some said she was a healer. Others claimed she communed with spirits. When the war came through, soldiers from both sides came knocking. Some for help, some for trouble. Only a few ever returned from her ridge. Rumors flew, curses, dark rituals, a pact with the devil. One winter, her cabin burned down in a storm, and Agatha vanished, presumed dead. But the mountain changed after that. Strange disappearances, bones found in creeks, screams heard in the hollows. They say Agatha never died. She became part of the mountain. By 2024, most had forgotten. But not everyone. Sarah Jensen was a grad student studying Appalachian folklore. Born in Nashville, raised on campfire stories, she had a fascination with legends and an obsession with proving the paranormal. She chose Roan Mountain for her final thesis, a deep dive into the myth of Agatha Wynn. She arrived in early October, renting a small Airbnb cabin near Carver's Gap. The owner, a gray-haired woman named Elsie, had one warning: "Don't go past Cloudland. The witch don't like visitors." Sarah smiled politely and dismissed the warning. Superstition, she thought. Backwoods folklore. Nothing she hadn't heard before. She wasn't here to be scared. She was here to document, record, and analyze. She brought trail cams, voice recorders, an EMF detector, and a drone. Her first week was uneventful. Scenic hikes, interviews with wary locals, recordings of old wives' tales. But every night she dreamed of fire and shadows, of something watching from the trees. On the 8th night, her drone went missing. She had launched it near a moss-covered clearing close to the ridge. Moments later, the screen went black. When she hiked up to retrieve it, all she found was a melted piece of plastic and scorched earth. That night, the forest fell silent. No crickets, no owls, just the wind, and a woman humming. Sarah recorded the sound. When she played it back later, her laptop froze. The file corrupted, then vanished. She tried again, this time using her phone. The same thing happened. On the 12th day, she found symbols carved into a tree behind her cabin, circles with X's, a strange rune made of 3 slashes through a vertical line. She sent a photo to her advisor. He never responded. Then came the night of the storm. The power went out around 2 a.m. Thunder rolled across the mountains like war drums. Sarah lit candles and sat reading her notes by flashlight. Around 3 a.m., the wind stopped. Just stopped. Total silence. Then came a knock at the door. 3 knocks, slow, heavy. She froze. There was no car in the driveway, no cell service, no one around for miles. Another knock. She whispered, "Who's there?" A woman's voice answered, low and crackling like fire on wood. You came for me." Sarah didn't open the door. The next morning, the porch had ash on it. Ash and footprints, bare, scorched feet leading back into the woods. She wanted to leave. She tried, but her car wouldn't start. The road to town had been blocked by a fallen tree, and her phone was now completely dead. She packed a bag and hiked down toward the ranger station, but what should have been a 2-hour trek took 6. The trail signs twisted. Familiar paths vanished. At one point, she found herself back at the clearing where her drone had burned. The smell of sulfur was strong. She heard whispers in the leaves, her name over and over. Then she saw her. At the edge of the trees between the branches stood a woman, tall, draped in rags. Her skin charred and cracked, her hair like roots soaked in blood. Her eyes glowed faintly yellow. Sarah ran. Branches slashed her face. Something tugged at her bag. She didn't stop until she saw the ranger station. But it was empty, abandoned. A thick layer of dust and cobwebs, as if it hadn't been used in years. She stayed there until nightfall, hiding behind a desk with a flare gun in her hand. That's when the humming returned, and the whispers, and the smell of burning flesh. The door creaked open. The flare gun misfired. She screamed. Darkness. When she woke up, it was morning, and she was back at her cabin, on the floor, face down in ash. She had no memory of how she got there. Her footage gone. Her voice recorder melted. Her laptop missing. The only thing left was her journal, with one new entry in handwriting that wasn't hers. "You found me. Now stay." Sarah never made it back to Nashville. Her family filed a missing persons report. A search team went up the mountain and found nothing but her backpack in the clearing. The footage from her drone was recovered from cloud storage weeks later. It showed one final frame. A figure standing behind her, long hair, blackened skin, burning eyes. Since then, hikers report strange lights on Roan Mountain. Some claim to hear a woman singing just before sundown. Campers go missing every year. Locals don't go past Cloudland. And Elsie? The old woman who warned Sarah? She moved to Florida the day after Sarah disappeared. When asked why, she simply said, "The witch took another one. I ain't gonna be next."